Hello, everybody. My name is Vijayaram Selvaraj. I'm an assistant professor of medicine at Miriam Hospital in Providence, Rhode Island. The other authors in this case report are Arkady Finn, Daniel Sakeri, and Kwame Dapa Afri. To date, there have been many neurological manifestations in patients with COVID-19 that include ischemic strokes, Guillain-Barré syndrome, anosmia. There was a study by Wu et al. That described a case series involving 38 patients with COVID-19, where 12 patients had ocular signs of epiphora, conjunctival congestion, and chemosis. We report the case of a patient who presented with dysosmia, dysgeusia, along with monoocular vision loss, who presented after being diagnosed with COVID-19. The patient was a woman in her 50s who had a history of hypertension, hyperlipidemia, and headaches, who presented to the hospital with fever, chills, and cough 1 week after she tested positive for COVID-19. On the day prior to her admission, she reported having monoocular right eye acute planeless vision loss, which she described as a white cloud and blurriness involving most of her right eye, but it spared the superior nasal aspect. Her left eye was normal. She denied any other eye symptoms such as flashes, floaters, or diplopia. She denied jaw claudication, scalp tenderness, unintentional weight loss. She also mentioned having dysgeusia, dysosmia, right ear hyperacusis, and subjective right hemiparesis. She did not take any medications at home. On the day of admission, her neurological exam was remarkable for severe right eye vision loss. She was unable to visualize or count any fingers in the right temporal field and inferior nasal field. The left eye exam was normal. A relative afferent pupillary defect was absent. There was no tenderness to palpation of the temporal area. The next day, she reported 50% improvement in her visual symptoms. Her vision in the far periphery of the right eye was blurry, but she was able to count fingers in all fields. Visual acuity was 20/70. The dilated fundoscopic exam was normal. Ocular pressures were also normal. There was no evidence of optic disc edema, Hollenhurst plaques, retinal whitening, or hemorrhages. Her laboratory workup was entirely normal. Her CRP and ESR were within normal limits. Her her D-dimer was also normal. Initial MRI of the brain without gadolinium did not reveal any acute pathology. There was no intraparenchymal or cranial nerve abnormalities, although it was notable for a partially empty sella turcica. MRI of the orbits, face, and neck with and without contrast did not reveal any areas of abnormal enhancement. The optic nerves, chiasm, and optic tracts appeared normal. CT angiography was also done that did not reveal any significant carotid disease. Her vision the following day improved spontaneously. She was discharged home on aspirin and atorvastatin. She was advised to follow up in the ophthalmology clinic in 1 month after the admission. So the clinical spectrum of COVID-19 has continued to evolve and challenge physicians quite a bit. Acute vision loss is a medical emergency and can occur over a few seconds or minutes or to a few days. The vision can become blurry cloudy, entirely or partially absent, or be affected by flashes or floaters. Acute vision loss is usually painless but may be associated with ocular pain, redness, and headache. Most cases of visual loss can be diagnosed by history and physical examination alone. Common cases of acute vision loss include central retinal artery occlusion, central retinal vein occlusion, inflammatory conditions such as giant cell arteritis, optic neuropathy, and retinal detachment. In our patient, central retinal vein occlusion was unlikely because of the absence of retinal hemorrhages and cotton wool spots on the fundoscopic exam. Inflammatory conditions such as giant cell arteritis was considered, although it was unlikely in her case as she did not have any scalp tenderness or jaw claudication, and her ESR and CRP were normal. Branch retinal artery occlusion was another diagnosis that was considered, although there was no evidence of retinal whitening or edema, hence this was felt to be unlikely. Given her normal ophthalmologic exam, posterior ischemic optic neuropathy was considered to be more likely. So there are three types of posterior ischemic optic neuropathy. One is arteritic, second one is non-arteritic, and third one is post-surgical. The capillary plexuses supplying the posterior part of the optic nerve are vulnerable to hypoperfusion and ischemia. Vision typically recovers if circulation is restored before axonal death, as was observed in our case. Arteritic posterior ischemic optic neuropathy is usually due to inflammatory conditions such as giant cell arteritis, which I already mentioned is unlikely in our case. Our patient most likely had non-arteritic posterior ischemic optic neuropathy due to a small vessel disease that's usually linked to a systemic illness such as COVID-19. Given the evidence of partially empty sella turcica on MRI, there was also concern for idiopathic intracranial hypertension or pseudotumor cerebri, but the patient did not undergo a lumbar puncture to diagnose this condition, as her symptoms are already improved and she denied any headache symptoms as well. The previous strains of coronavirus seem to invade the CNS through the hematogenous route, but can also invade through the cribriform plate and the conjunctiva. The pathophysiology in our case is unclear. One of the mechanisms we thought that might be involves inflammation associated with COVID-19 itself, but her CRP and ESR are normal. Another mechanism could be related to the thromboembolic phenomenon and occlusion of small capillaries feeding the optic nerve, although our patient's D-dimer was normal. There's a study done by Magro that showed that there might be a microvascular injury syndrome that's mediated by activation of complement pathways and an associated procoagulant state that may be at play in these patients. So our patient's symptoms were early in the course of her illness and could be useful in triaging patients. A thorough neurological exam is essential in all patients diagnosed with COVID-19. The purpose of our case mainly is to highlight a broader spectrum of COVID-19 related symptomatology, and it basically emphasizes the need for clinicians to be aware of the various clinical manifestations associated with this condition. Thank you.